Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Stranger Things Season 4, Episode 5, The Nina Project. This was written by Kate Telfry and directed by Nimrod Antal. Now, again, I always have to put this disclaimer, but please, no spoilers for anything past Episode 5. I've only seen up to Episode 6 here, so everything in the comments, just what we've seen so far. Everything in episode 5 is fine to talk about, but nothing else. Please keep that safe for everybody to not see. And as I've said, I'm going to be doing every single episode so you can watch this along. I'm not going to talk any spoilers, anything past this episode, so this is made to be able to watch right after you watch episode 5. So in this episode, we have Will, Argyle, Mike, and Jonathan. They are now burying this agent man and figuring out about what's going on with the Nina Project bit by bit, getting a phone number they need to call. And we get another moment here with Will and Mike, and Will getting closer and closer to clearly telling Mike that he has feelings for him because he says a line along the lines of having a feeling you want to tell someone how you really feel about something. And that's kind of seals the deal for me in my theory that he has feelings for Mike, and that's something on that poster is about Mike. But we'll see. And really the standout in this storyline for me was with Argyle making a pizza box tombstone. That was actually hysterical, especially Jonathan's reaction that they would not want to have a tombstone with someone they just buried that they're hiding with their names on it. So that was great. Now Hopper is still stuck with the Russians and he is with Dimitri. And I just realized now watching that, I kept thinking, who is this actor of Dimitri? Looks so familiar. And he's a faceless man who trained Arya in Game of Thrones. So that was like one of those moments you just get, you shock yourself when you connect the dots. Like, oh, that's who it is. So that was funny that I didn't realize episode 5. But yeah, it's cool to see him in this show. And I really liked Hopper's monologue here. It's interesting that they let us know more about his past and that he worked with hazardous material and that he feels somewhat responsible for his daughter getting sick and that he feels like a curse with whoever he is around. And now he feels that to Joyce, that him even trying to escape has risked Joyce's life, so he feels cursed. Now, I'm ready for this storyline of Hopper to kind of move along here, though, with him getting stuck with Russians. It's still not the most engaging. I'm happy they gave him a good monologue, good stuff for his character, but plot-wise, I'd like this to kind of get going, and they kind of keep hinting at what we already saw in the post-credits last season with the Demogorgons that the Russians have, so let's see those Demogorgons. Let's get this a little more juicy and spicy in this storyline. I'm kind of waiting for that, but it's definitely coming soon. Now, I've been loving everything going on with Yuri, Joyce, and Murray in this season, and we get the black belt karate payoff here for Murray, but this is actually the first sequence I wasn't so crazy about with this storyline because it actually felt a little too silly. Even for moments with Murray, this felt a little ridiculous with the plane not even being piloted for that short time when they're fighting Yuri and then them crashing. This was a little much for me. I know Stranger Things will go there sometimes with the silliness, and that's more been in seasons past, but this just didn't really land for me, no pun intended, but it still had its moments, and it will be interesting to see what happens with Joyce and Murray. Now we see with Eddie, he's still in hiding. We haven't really learned much more about Eddie. He's kind of starting just to become a part of the plot, so I think we need to get along with that as well, which I'm sure is coming. He's been part of the mystery, and the Jason crew here is closing in on him. Patrick, who was set up as someone who was possessed by Vecna, is our latest victim of Vecna. I think that's meant for Eddie to see and Jason really to see. And this whole episode is a come down from the masterpiece that was the last episode, and just with Max's story and to kind of settle us in to different relationships with characters. And that really happens here with our main group now that they're at the Vecna haunted house here, which was Victor Creel's, which I had called, which isn't something impressive for me to predict, but I'm proud of myself nonetheless. But this felt like it when the kids go to Pennywise's house, and also had some Goonies vibes with the music that was playing and them kind of discovering things through the house. And it was just awesome seeing Vecna in the Upside Down under them in this house, that they're kind of in his nest while he's kind of sleeping, doing his thing, connecting to people in their minds. And there was a nice moment here with Lucas and Max, especially when Lucas was saying to Max that he missed her laugh. So you're getting a nice kind of payoff with that, where they broke up and you're getting the seed sowed of like getting back to that love they had for each other. But what was, a little flat to me, and this kind of goes back to the humor with Murray and Joyce here, which I thought was kind of flat this episode, but also flat was the humor here with Dustin and Steve, and kind of felt a little forced in here, not really hitting the mark like it usually does. So that was kind of off key for this show. But yeah, definitely the humor throughout the house fell flat for me in this episode. Now, where the meat of this episode is in the story of 11, and this reveal that Dr. Brenner is alive with a scar. So we last saw him where he fell. We've only seen him kind of in visions and flashbacks, so it's this big reveal really from season 1 where we thought he might have died, but we never really saw the body. So he is alive. I didn't think that was too much of a stretch. I think that actually works. And damn you, Dr. Owens. He's a real Lando Calrissian here, just bringing 11 to this Dr. Brenner again, which is just disappointing in the character of Owens, where he thought he was kind of going down a better path, but he's still got this kind of dark side to him that stays and sticks with the plan. And Elle, just in this tank here, reminds me a lot of Minority Report, the way they frame it and the way she's laying in it with the things connected to her head. The camera angles were awesome through all these Elle sequences, and I am so impressed, like I said in episode 1, of the CG of young 11. It really looks like Millie Bobby Brown at that time. So really cool. And I really thought a standout moment was her looking at her younger self through the mirror, and that we're at the point with technology that we can do that now. And I thought it was clever for them to have her go through her memories to gain back her power. That was cool, while we're also learning more about her past. And again, it feels like a misdirect, but was that test at the end the massacre that caused all these children to die by 11 in her last test? I still think that's a misdirect, and that something else is going on in that moment, because the final episode of this batch of episodes, episode 7, is titled The Massacre at Hawkins' Lab. So I'm wondering that will give us more. If there's more to that story, it can't just be this, right? So we'll see what the whole mystery is, what really happened there. But the big moment is she blows off these 3 guards off her back, something we haven't seen her do that powerful, or just from behind her she shoots them up. And like Dr. Owens had alluded to earlier in the season, that her powers would be more stronger. We're seeing that now, and her getting the powers back is just exciting. But, you know, Dr. Brenner, Matthew Modine, always delivers these lines perfectly, where he says remarkable. And again, this is his, product here, doing what he wants. And there's this complicated relationship between them, because she sees him still as a father figure. It's the only father figure or parental figure she's really had in her life besides Hopper, but in her early life. So she's calling him Papa still. And you're wondering, is she a little bit now in that kind of Stockholm Syndrome trance from her childhood? Is she crawling back into that young 11, or is she playing him? I think it might be a little bit of both here. But I'm going to give this episode an 8.4, with the strength being really the stuff with 11 here. This really was a very 11-centered episode, and everything else was pretty good. But again, I just think in those pretty good moments where it did need to slow down from episode 1, I do wish some of the writing hit a little stronger here, especially with the humor, where it felt a little flat to me. And again, wasn't crazy about the Joyce and Murray sequence in this episode, but most of the stuff they've done through the season with them I've really enjoyed, so I'm not too upset about it. But overall, this is an 8.4 for me, and it was more of a transitional episode, getting characters where they need to be, having characters learn information they need to learn, and I think it's going to set up again for probably a crazy episode 6. So let me know what you thought of this episode. Love your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. If you love what I do here, I really appreciate a tip. There's a thanks button below, and you can also become a member. That will really help in so many ways you have no idea. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.